Welcome back to Episteemics. Once again, I'm joined by Sabur Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. How are you?
Good.
Okay, brilliant. So today's topic, bro, is the evolution of morality, right?
Yep.
Let's get into it. I'm going to try to keep it short, concise. Tell me, what is this topic? What do you want to talk about today?
So, if you look at the new atheist movement, their charge against religion, it's like, this is immoral, that is immoral, this is not part of human rights, that's not part of human rights, this is wrong, that is right. And that is their movement. That is their main drive.
Of course.
Pick up the God Delusion, pick up The End of Faith by Sam Harris, pick up God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. Same nonsense. Wrong, right. Don't agree with this, agree with this. Okay. The problem with this is, if you're going to speak about religion, in particular Islam is immoral, Islam denies these fundamental essential human rights which are absolute, then you need to give an account of the existence of morality, of altruism, of this type of human behavior under your worldview.
Yes.
Now, I'm a Muslim, so let me just give you an example, right? I'm a Muslim. So if someone says, as a Muslim, do you believe that do you believe in justice? I'll say, yes, I believe in justice. Why? Because in the Quran it mentions justice and we believe God is the just. So I've given him a concept like justice, and I've said, I believe in this because I believe in God, because I believe in the Quran, right? So I've linked those values that I hold to my worldview. Now, an atheist, if you ask them, do you believe in justice? Yes. Do you believe in rights? Yes. Do you believe in altruism, that we need to be good, that we need to give charity? They'll say yes. Why do you believe in them? Because that's the right thing. No, that's not a good enough answer. You need to defend that from your worldview. You can't just leave it hanging around in the air like a platonic truth that you just grab, Like, why do you believe in justice?
Okay,
why do you believe in rights and wrongs?
Let me challenge that position quickly. So here's a common thing that you get. I see exactly what you're saying. What you're saying is, look, as a Muslim, you make moral claims because you peg your morality beyond your subjective opinions upon God. Right? And in Islam. Now, but the atheists, when you ask them the same questions, many times or sometimes you hear the response, which is, well, hold on a second. You're assuming atheism is a worldview. You're assuming atheism is like some religion, when it's just a position where we say we don't have good reasons to believe in God.
Fine.
Right? Now, I find that quite perplexing. But do you see the issue? How would you do?
Okay, so someone says, look, atheism is not a worldview. Atheism is not a belief. Atheism is nothing. Right? I don't need to defend it, which is really interesting because, and it's a bit of a side point, but when atheists are behind their teleprompters, they've got their lights set up, they're talking about atheism, defending atheism, saying there's no God. But when they're in a public debate, when you're having a discussion, I didn't say there's no God. I said there's lack of evidence of God. I didn't say I have a position. I said I don't have a position. So they hide behind this vagueness, but behind, to their own audience, they have a different narrative.
This is public, so I'm going to mention this. Look, you got Genetically Modified Skeptic. In his video, Is There Any Hope on Atheism, which I responded to recently, he did exactly the same thing, right? What's his name? Cosmic Skeptic. I believe I've said his name correct. Cosmic Skeptic, he did exactly the same thing, I believe, in the debate with hijab, which is he maintained the position.
I didn't make any claims. I don't,
exactly.
It's a lack of belief.
It's almost like a escape clause for them, right? It's like, I'll do my hanky panky, and then I'm gonna run away and challenge.
To my audience, I'm gonna speak in this way. But when it comes to a public, I don't need to defend a position.
But here's a problem. Fine, don't call it a worldview, but you're maintaining a position, right? That position has implications.
So if somebody says, I believe in justice, right? And then you say to him, okay, why do you believe in justice as an atheist? I just believe in it. No, that's not good enough. You need to explain it from an atheistic
your paradigm. Don't call it worldview.
Your paradigm.
No worldview.
Okay. Now, all they have is a naturalistic account of morality via natural selection. That's all they have. That they can't go beyond that. Now, the problem with that is that human behavior doesn't fit that account.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we help people who we're related to. The way they explain it is they say it's kin selection because they hold your genes. Now, the problem with that is you help people who are not your kin. Okay. They say the reason why you help a stranger who's not related to you is they're going to help you back. So this is reciprocal altruism. The problem with that is we help people who we're not related to, who are strangers, and who we aren't going to get any reciprocation from.
Right.
Even if this account wasn't true, even if we were just helping our kin directly, is it really the case that you're helping your kin because they carry your genes? Or is that just a just so story you just made up to explain human behavior? Now, the thing which is really good about some atheists, like Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes.
He is a atheist academic. He's written that famous book, Sapiens and Homo Deus. So he's honest, right? He's honest. And in his book, he makes it clear that human rights, morality, liberalism, all this stuff, right? This is all basically a convenient fiction. Yeah, it's a collective type of fiction. This thing about rights and wrong and this and that, because at the end of the day, there is no right and wrong.
But I would go further. I would say we can't even account for why it's convenient. That's another question in of itself.
No, of course we can't.
But let's go back to, I think what you.
So this whole thing about we believe in this right, we believe in human rights, we believe in this, we believe in that. The question is why?
Yeah.
Why? Even we believe in the truth. And we are going to, like Richard Dawkins, when he was asked about the way he criticizes religion, he's like, I love truth so much. Yeah, do you? Well, why do you explain to us the value of truth beyond natural selection?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Because at the end of the day, you can survive on false beliefs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can try and make the argument, well, you're more likely to survive on true beliefs. Basically, it's better to have true beliefs than false beliefs because you're more likely to survive.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you haven't given an intrinsic account of truth. You've given an instrumental account of truth.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is they are false beliefs that you can survive upon.
Yes.
So it shouldn't really matter to you what's true or false. What should matter to you
is relevant from that perspective.
Survival.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is the interesting thing. So in other words, what we're saying, if we take a zoom out picture, what we're saying, one thing you can conclude is claiming atheism is true is self-defeating, because as soon as you make that truth claim, which is a truth, there is no God, even if you see in the negative, that atheism is true, you're making a truth claim, but on that worldview, you can't make sense of truth.
Yeah.
So it's almost self-defeating from that perspective.
I mean, why value something you can't really account for?
Yeah.
We believe in truth. Well, value, how are you going to explain that? Now, when
let's go back to the moral point. I think. Let's touch upon that
the moral
specific
point.
Yeah.
So the thing about the moral point is that this is something which is really underused as an argument against atheism. And I think this is very, very important. We just take it as a given that they're on the same platform as us.
Yes.
If I'm talking to a Christian and he says that's immoral and I say that's moral, we're having a discussion. We both believe in God. We both can make the claim that morality does exist. It does exist out there in the world.
Yeah.
However, an atheist cannot. They cannot make that. So we just grant them. We're just being generous to them. We don't need to be generous anymore. We need to say, okay, you need to account for objective morality. And not only that, a lot of atheists, they come up with basically a liberal worldview. They're liberal about this, they're liberal about that. Yeah. But they just assume somehow atheism leads to liberalism.
Yeah.
They need to. You can be an atheist and you can be a Stalinist.
Yes.
You can be a communist. You can be a Marxist. You can be a whatever, right? Or you can be someone who's a liberal. But why assume automatically that you're going to become an atheist and then somehow you have all these liberal values?
Yeah.
Where does
it boils
this come
down to this because you're having to put principles in place on atheism based on those principles you build whichever view you follow.
Yeah.
But the question now again, where do you get those principles from?
Yeah, and
right?
The fantastic thing is that even an atheist philosopher like David Stove, who in his and I think everybody should read this book, Darwinian Fairy Tales, he says Darwinism is a slander upon human beings. It doesn't fit our behavior. It doesn't explain the survival of the unfittest, why we fund hospitals, why we have this collective care for each other, why we have altruism, why we have morality, civilization, ethics. It doesn't explain those things. And the explanations are ad hoc, just so stories, consistent with natural selection, but they aren't evidence. In fact, he writes something really interesting in his book that they blame the fact rather than blaming their theory. Yeah. They blame the fact of altruism rather than blaming their theory.
Sure.
When in reality, those things show that Darwinism's actually false. Because if it cannot account for your basic human behavior, and your basic human behavior, morality is what drives global movements. right? You look at, for example, the communist movement of the early 20th century.
Yes.
They are driven by justice, worker rights, yeah? If you look at the values in Europe, which came in after World War II, we're going to treat each other in this way. In war, we're going to have these types of rights. All over the world, if you don't take a movement of people, what drives people is morality.
Yes.
And the new atheist movement is also going on this drive. We believe in truth, not stupidity, not irrationality, which is basically you're making a moral claim that truth is more valuable than falsehood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, we believe religion doesn't give rights, but we will give rights.
Yeah.
Okay, then you need to explain, where do those rights come from? Where does morality come from? Where do ethics come from? They don't bother.
Yeah.
They just assume that's the case.
Piggyback. It's interesting you made that point, because normally what you see new atheists do is they piggyback off liberalism.
Yeah.
And it's John Gray, in his book 7 Types of Atheism, he mentions that, look, they piggyback off it, but the origins of liberalism are from religion anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Not from an atheistic paradigm.
Even if they were not.
Yeah.
Even if you're right.
Yeah.
Even if a whole bunch of atheists came together and made the 10 Commandments, right? They made their own type of 10 Commandments. They'd still have to defend those. You can't just have this floating rights. You have to ground them in something.
Absolutely. So I think another way to look at this now, we're stopping at the Darwinian mechanism, right? If you go further back, according to atheism, and in particular naturalism, everything is a result of just random physical stuff, atoms.
Yeah.
There is nothing else behind it.
I mean, look,
it's all an accident, essentially.
Take two pictures.
Yeah.
Take two pictures. There's that famous image of, that burning child in Vietnam, right? That horrific picture.
Yeah.
Take another image of somebody giving charity to a poor person that's just about to starve, and they're giving them water. Take those two images. One evokes empathy, passion, love, care, altruism. One, it makes you feel disgusting, and it just makes you feel pain and anger and anguish. These two very strong polar opposite moral feelings. An atheist, if they're to look at that according to their worldview, is only two types of arrangement of atoms.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
They can't account for the way they feel.
It's nothing else.
Yeah.
And the dumbest, there's loads of dumb arguments to use, but the dumbest argument they use is an argument from consequence. So they say, well, if you didn't go around killing each other, we'd all be dead.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't kill.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, if we're to take your logic and apply it, that basically means if a consequence is not there against you, then it's all right. Because you're only saying, look, if I go around killing other people, they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is, then when, say there's a dead body, no one's watching, you just kick the body, right? That dead person's not going to attack you back.
Yeah.
But there's no consequence.
Yes.
Right? So these very silly arguments they use to try and explain away morality, these aren't basically going to work, because what you have to do is, if you're going to make it as your main driving argument, this is right, this is wrong, like Cosmic Skeptic tried to do in the debate against Muhammad Hijab. Islam is wrong because these things are wrong. Okay, but that moral thing that you're pointing out, whatever it is, can you show that really exists in the world?
Yeah.
That's just a real thing? Can you do that? Because if you cannot do that, then what you're basically saying is, I disagree with this, and this person disagrees with this, everyone disagrees with each other. Who really cares? Yeah? You need to give a foundation. And that's the problem with new atheism, that if you're to do a survey of new atheist arguments, books, lectures, talks, what you're going to find is a whole bunch of arguments which are moral in nature.
Yes.
But the problem is they cannot account for that.
Absolutely. So, it just reminds me of a very powerful verse from the Quran, where God says, don't be like those who forgot God and God made them forget themselves, right? Now, obviously, this could be understood in many ways, and classically it's been understood in a particular way. But one perspective we can take is that we're seeing this reality unfold in front of us. You have turned away from God, you've denied the Creator, and as a result, now you're living this contradiction where you're denying yourself. You can't even account for who you are anymore, right? On one end, you're feeling these powerful emotions and you're making moral claims, but at the same time, on your worldview, you can't justify them or make sense of them. That is a sad state of being, bro, if you really think about it. Really painful. It hurts me to think about it. But that being said, I think quickly, just to summarize, I do want to touch upon one more point. I want you to get your thoughts on it. Now, one of the biggest spokespeople or spokespersons of New Atheism, Sam Harris, several years back, he wrote a book called The Moral Landscape. Now he tries to give you this amalgamation of, or account for morality via science. And he has this whole idea of, you know, whatever leads, the peaks and troughs, whatever leads to well-being as opposed to, you know, not well-being, you know. So, and that should be a sort of an anchor or a judge between what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
How would you address this? Do you think he's made a good attempt at trying to provide a solution? If not, why not? And then we could wrap up on that particular point.
Okay, that's probably something we need to properly do in another video.
Yep.
But what
on the surface, what do you think of that whole idea about the moral landscape?
Look, if somebody wants a thorough refutation of that, there was a debate between William Lane Craig and Sam Harris. Yeah. And you see, I don't understand how Sam Harris can go around after that debate having even an inch of credibility. It was just a thorough rinsing. Yeah, he was just, the whole argument just fell apart. But what I wanted to do is I want to just go to the jugular, right?
Yeah.
Just deal with it from its very foundation. Imagine there's a passionate Christian speaking about, you got to love God, you know, you got to feel God inside you, the Holy Spirit, and going crazy. You know, there's churches in America where you get the rattlesnake and they're like, I'm not afraid of I'm not afraid of drinking poison. I'm not afraid of, you know, they have this bag with snakes. And imagine the guy's going berserk talking about the love of God and Jesus, And imagine he's just going absolutely nuts with all this passion, and then you find out the guy doesn't believe in God. You're just going to think, what the hell are you doing? You're going absolutely berserk, speaking about God and the power of God and the rights of God and what we got to do and the day of judgment and all this. He's going absolutely nuts, but fundamentally he doesn't believe in God. So those two things, you just completely took the wind out of his sail. So if you look at even the moral landscape or any of these atheist types of books which are about morals this and this is how we work out morals and this is how science can help us with morals, and they're going crazy, morals, but you don't have an account of morality's existence. It's the same as a Christian going nuts speaking about God and the power of God when they don't believe in God. So don't come across on in your books, in your publications, in all these lectures going, you know, this is right, this is wrong, we got to do this, human rights. You can't account for any of that from an evolutionary perspective. So what you got to do is you got to tone it down a little bit and you got to have a bit of a discussion. Because if you're going to make a moral argument, the first casualty of that argument is going to be you, because you don't have an account of morality. So whatever you try and bring out against religion is going to be subjective. And whatever you're going to, and although you're making a subjective argument against religion, you're making an objective argument against yourself by claiming and making direct claims about morality and the existence of morality. And that's the problem in this new atheist movement. It's very shallow.
I think Harris is toning it down these days by denying himself. In another book, he's starting to even deny the self now. So I think he's going in the right direction. But anyway, I think that's a good point to summarize on. Thank you for coming on again. Thank you guys for watching the show. Hopefully you find it beneficial. Like I said, leave your comments below. Let us know what you thought. Any questions, leave them below too. Also, make sure to subscribe, share the video, and click the notification bell. Until next time, take care.